funny until someone gets hurt.
There's bugs in my skin. You're responsible for me. I'm getting offended. I'm a big fat gamer.
TGG, the voices are normal, and you should listen to them.
TGG. I'm getting offended.
TGG, this was the phrase we thought of.
Legal counsel advised us to replace what was supposed to go here.
TGG, it isn't funny until someone gets hurt.
There's bugs in my skin. You're responsible for me. I'm getting offended. I'm a big fat gamer.
TGG, the voices are normal, and you should listen to them.
TGG. I'm getting offended. council advised us to replace what was supposed to go here.
Hello. What is up, everybody? It's me, your favorite son, here with another episode of TGG Plus with my co-host, as always, Evan Prince.
That's me.
Tonight, we're going to be talking about, as you can see from the title, did Konami kill Metal Gear?
Is it over?
Is it over? It's so over, bros. Specifically, that's relating to an interesting and pretty funny little production hotline that Konami did about Metal Gear and some questionnaire feedback stuff they were filling out. Or I would also like to talk about something you posted about on Twitter. Everybody's been kind of talking about on Twitter with this like red letter media discourse going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe we could talk about the Elden Ring discourse that's going on as well.
The notorious pause button situation.
Yeah, I think that might be.
Oh yeah,
that'll be funny. But yeah, if you're just joining the stream, make sure to like the stream. It helps us out. It gets us more good vibes, basically, is what we're concerned about, because we're always just concerned about the good vibes. We don't care about
it's all vibes.
Or likes or
it's
anything,
not about
vibes.
Analytics. It's vibes.
We've always said that from the beginning. We're about vibes.
Yeah, you can actually buy more. You can buy additional vibes via donation. So if you want to buy more, if you want to buy even more vibes,
random
dude, that would be
pack.
that off topic. That would be the funniest fucking like you, instead of donations, it's like you're buying vibes. That would be the funniest fucking thing if somebody did that unironically.
If you don't buy enough vibes, the vibes are gonna get bad, and I promise they'll get bad.
And you don't fucking want the vibes to get bad.
Yeah. What's up, Fred Naff in chat? Red Letter Media. Yeah, they're at the. I feel like this is. I want to talk about that in a bit, because I feel like me and Evan are gonna kind of. I feel like we're gonna butt heads on that one, so that was why I wanted to bring it up. So those are the things we'll be talking about. Before we get to that, how have you been? How's your week going? What are you up to?
Pretty good week. So my girlfriend found a kitten in the woods beside a McDonald's. So we have another cat now.
Dude, you already have like a million creatures.
So we have you wouldn't believe it, man. We're chilling. He's pretty. We named him Sparky. He's hanging out now. She has nursed him back to health, and that's our new kitten named Sparky.
Hell yeah.
So
Sparky
that's what
the kitten.
And we went to a 4th of July thing last night and watched. I hope the kitten involves to do a powerful warrior. Yeah, he definitely will. I can already see he's got warrior blood in him. But and then we saw some fireworks last night. We went to in our town, and we watched a bunch of fireworks going up.
Hell yeah, 4th of July, celebrating America.
Absolutely. Happy birthday, America.
Best country on earth, as always.
Yeah.
YFS, you should do a vid on Signalis. I already did, actually. I did do a video on Signalis. It's probably one of my worst performing videos ever, but I enjoyed doing it.
That's why he hasn't heard of it.
This is a good game. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. You got to spread the word. Get the word out there about my Signalis video.
Go hit up his channel and find his Signalis video.
Yeah, it's a great game. I did that video. Funny thing about that video is I worked on that video when I had the worst case of COVID that I've ever had in my entire life. I've had COVID like 4 times, and that was easily the worst one. I was sitting here at this desk getting footage on this TV, and I was like shaking and like so cold. I had 3 blankets wrapped around me, and I was trying to play Signalis to try and get footage, and I had to keep playing it for like an hour and then go lay down on the couch and get warm and like make the chills stop and then get back up and play Signalis. It was bad.
Goodness gracious.
It was terrible, but it's pretty good game.
Quick shout out. I hear thunder in the background.
Okay.
So if I disappear,
my
power went out.
Your connection is a little spotty, so I figured that was going on.
And also our power just cuts off whenever it rains sometimes. So if I disappear, that's where I've gone.
That happens when they put the lines on the outside.
Yeah.
It's common. Yeah. Because if the lines get wet, you know. But yeah, this week I've just been working on Metal Gear Solid 3. I'm about done with the Metal Gear Solid 3 script, like that section. I still need to do Acid and Acid 2 and Portable Ops, but that one is coming along. I'm probably going to switch gears to a Worst Steam Games video here pretty soon to try and churn another one of those out. Yeah, I've just been bulking, eating like probably closer to 5,000 calories a day, every day. Because I just like,
it's a hell of a bulk, man. It's a hell of a bulk.
I'm eating a lot. I'm eating a lot. I kind of want to quit the bulk, not gonna lie. I kind of want to quit already. It sucks, dude. I feel like shit all the time, and I'm so full. Yeah, I don't know. It's just sucks. Being fat sucks, you know?
Yeah.
It really does.
Dude, I've been on some heavy bulks before, man. It gets hard.
I need to get some Ozempic. Dude, it's weird. It's weird. Have you started to meet people that are actually doing that yet? Because I've started. There are people in my life that have started to actually take Ozempic. It's weird because I thought it was just like a fringe thing, but like everyone, like there's a lot of people that are starting to take that to lose weight.
Man, people will gravitate pretty quickly towards a pill solution for a lot of things, you know. Yeah.
Quick fix. All right. Arkham says, morning boys, about to run off to work, but hope you're having a good day. Thanks for checking in. You have a good day as well. Let's take a look at this Metal Gear thing.
Yeah.
What the title's about.
Let's get into some Metal Gear.
So about a week ago, we obviously haven't had a chance to cover this because we haven't done an episode in a week, but the Konami released this production hotline thing for the Metal Gear Delta remake. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. Do you think that name's a bit too much of a mouthful?
Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater.
Just a little bit.
I think it's, if it is, I think it's not too out of sync for Metal Gear. I mean, we had Metal Gear Rising Revengeance.
That's true. That was probably one of the craziest names.
We had Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots. How many words is that?
Best name. Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots. 9 words. Metal
Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. You know, I don't think it's too out of line. That's true. Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta Snake Eater. That's only 7 words.
It's not the word length that I think it gets weird for me. It's the fact that it almost feels like it has 2 subtitles. Like it's Metal
Delta
Gear Solid
and Snake Eater. Yeah.
Because also 3, because Solid is kind of a subtitle too. It's like Metal Gear Solid : Delta : Snake Eater.
I've already taken to just calling it Delta, but I think they probably could have just left off Snake Eater and just called it Delta, and then let the Delta encapsulate the 3 in the Snake Eater. You know, the Delta itself could encapsulate and symbolize 3 Snake Eater remake. You know.
Yeah. What does Delta even mean in regards to it? I would assume that Delta is going to be like their naming convention. If this does well, which it probably will, and they do more remakes, I would assume they're going to either name them all Delta, and it'll be like Metal Gear Solid Delta, Sons of Liberty, or they're going to go like Metal Gear Solid Omega. You know, it'll be like Greek alphabet. They'll name each one a different letter of the Greek.
I don't know why they went with Delta, honestly.
Yeah. But as far as like thematically, I have no idea because I don't know. Delta itself can be a symbol for change, I think. Oh, that's cool. Thank you, Doc Glock, for that input. But yeah, so they did this production hotline where they sort of gave a bunch of they re-showed the trailer. They talked about some updates. They showed off the camo menu. You said some people were getting mad about this on Twitter, didn't you?
I saw some people being frustrated about it for some reason. I don't fully understand.
That's odd because I think this looks really good.
It looks faithful.
Yeah. Yeah, they showed off the camo menu, and this is coming from somebody who's literally playing MGS3 right now for a video. Yeah, the wound system reflecting the wounds you take on your body. So they showed off some of this stuff, but I thought excuse me, I thought the funniest thing that happened during this production hotline was they showed off the results of a survey that they did, a feedback survey. And, this was survey results. What did you think of the March episode? So this was the update that they gave on the game. Originally, 52% said very good, 31% said good, 13% said okay. So overall, pretty good reception. And then, do you want to see more? People mostly answered yes. People wanted to see more Delta info, but also developer Q&A, Master Collection updates, and information about Master Collection Volume 2. But the funniest thing was this part. So they showed, these were the feedback and comments section, and 65% of it was neutral, 24% of it was positive, and 11% was negative, which is pretty good for Konami at this point, to be honest. 65% being neutral. So all of the positive ones were like, I'm glad we get to hear from someone who was on the original team. I feel like you really do care, so I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. The neutral comments were like, bring on some other Metal Gear Solid Delta dev staff too. Can we see more gameplay or first reveal stuff? Give us English subs. But the negative ones were like, Metal Gear is dead and you're the ones who killed it.
It's so funny that they showed that.
It is insane that they showed that. And honestly, a part of me wants to be like, you know what? Props to Konami.
Yeah, I think showing that was the right move.
Yeah, it feels like they're like, you know what? We're just going to be open and transparent about everything. And they're not taking this to heart, at least. Also, because it's, only 11% of the 65% of people don't know if they hate us yet. Yeah, that's a really good way to word it. I seen a couple people complaining about Big Boss's model. I thought it looked faithful to Shinkawa's character personally. Yeah, I think most of the models that we've seen so far look pretty good. Like, I think they look pretty faithful generally.
Yeah. I hadn't seen anybody complaining about Snake's model. He looks almost he looks more like Big Boss than Big Boss in the Phantom Pain did.
That's true.
And I mean real Big Boss, not Venom. I mean the actual
Snake.
Big Boss they showed
At the beginning.
At the end on the motorcycle with the cigar.
Yeah.
I think that model looks less like Naked Snake than this one does.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah. So I think that's a good sign. But yeah, they other comments were bugs that impact gameplay should have been fixed before release. You can't even do a simple remaster, right? You'll probably do a bad job on the next game too, so I'd rather you just give up. The funny thing is but back to the point about like them being open with this stuff. They said you can't even do a simple remaster, right? And like they talked about this stuff in the other update episode. They were talking about the Master Collection and how they're trying to work on getting fixes out to the game, and how they're not done with that work yet. They're still trying to get everything implemented that people want to see implemented, and how they pretty much took responsibility for the original drop of it and saying, you know, that wasn't the best. We understand that. We heard you guys, blah, blah, blah. And so honestly, pretty good stuff coming from them, I think. And this, whoa, that was ominous.
Yeah.
That was loud.
Yeah.
But I think it's like pretty good stuff coming from them. I think these, like, showing this stuff and being like, hey, we're looking at everything, you know, is pretty good, you know?
Yeah, I think that them showing the negative comments like this is a good sign.
Mm-hmm. But also super funny to see Konami
Yeah.
officially recognizing people saying Metal Gear is dead and you're the ones who killed it.
I actually think cherry picking comments that say shit like that is probably the best way to go, because like none of these comments are actual like valid negative criticisms. These are
Yes.
people who just don't understand anything. And it's so obvious that them using those quotes was the best move, rather
Yeah.
than showing people who were like, these are things you actually did wrong. Because saying Metal Gear is dead and you're the ones who killed it when referring to a gigantic multinational company is so silly.
They should make a fucking shirt with this on it. Metal Gear is dead and you're the ones who killed it. I would buy that.
I'd probably wear that.
I would
Yeah.
wear the fuck out of that. That's such a cool with the Japanese
That sounds
text above it too.
that sounds like a line from Metal Gear.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
It does. That sounds like something a character in that series would say.
Like one of the weapons specialists that's working on the project. Metal Gear is dead and you're the one that killed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I think this is probably as funny as it is really funny, but I think it's probably a good step forward. Wait, it's out already? No, it's not out already. We're just talking about this is a production hotline update that they released, that Konami has been releasing. And that overall, in the grand scheme of things too, is another good boy check mark on their list, because this is like the second one of these already since they released that trailer. They did those other episodes with David Hayter, and just talking about development and stuff. Like, they've been very quick to update the development of all of this. So maybe they're getting way more hate for the Silent Hill 2 remake than they are this. And they're like, listen, we're here to quell your fears with Metal Gear, but not with Silent Hill, because we're not talking to you. You guys are being too mean.
Yeah, Bloober is doing Silent Hill 2, not so much Konami.
That's true. This is in-house.
And also the Silent Hill 2 is certainly taking a lot of the heat off of Metal Gear. I think Metal Gear Solid 3 would probably be getting a lot more scrutiny if half the Konami fans weren't talking about Silent Hill 2.
That's a good point. I mean, honestly, maybe Konami should have just done the fucking Silent Hill 2 remake in-house.
I think Konami hates Silent Hill.
Yeah.
I think that company legitimately does like the Silent Hill series, and I think that they are at most willing to license it to a studio and say, "Here, you fucking do it."
Yeah. For some reason, I don't know why. How's MGS4 going to work? Does Sony own publishing rights in terms of a re-release? I don't see why they would. Is there a thing with Sony owning the publishing rights with that?
Well, I know that I know they had a deal for exclusivity for the PS3.
Yeah,
but
I don't think they.
Yeah.
I don't think they would own it. I would assume Konami owns
I'm
it.
sure any contract they signed would have had a time limit to run out.
They actually let us type whatever we want here based. Probably would have shipped on 5 discs. I propose when the Master Collection Volume 2 comes out, offer a deluxe edition that doesn't include Survive. I highly doubt that they would put Survive in Volume 2. I would think that I would hope that for Volume 2 they would include some of the spin-off games, because Volume 2 at this point would just be 4 Ground Zeroes and 5, really.
You don't think they would put Survive?
I would assume not. Like,
I would be shocked if they didn't put Survive.
Really?
Yeah, because of all the games that they're working with, Survive is the one that they just already have all of the assets for. It's the one made on the most modern tech, and it would be the single easiest,
and Peace
lowest
Walker.
effort.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it would be the lowest effort game to just throw on there as an extra, and nobody's going to be mad if you do include it, so long as they get the other games they wanted. I don't see why they wouldn't put it on there, because then a bunch of people who never would have even tried it will get it on the Master Collection and might even say, "Oh, fuck it, maybe I'll just play it."
Because I think it would be, from their side, it would probably be a PR thing. Like, we want to forget about this, because I mean that game is like the
Konami doesn't have good PR.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. I think it's. I don't think it's. I would say it's a possibility that they don't include it. If I were them, I wouldn't include it. That seems like a no-brainer to me. But
No,
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. This seems like something Konami would do.
I'll be way more surprised if they don't include it personally.
MGS4 has weird licensing issues you would need to work out. Like you'd need to change the iPod to something else, remove references to PlayStation, and get rid of the six axis controls for Xbox and PC. Yeah, you would definitely need to get rid of the iPod, probably the PlayStation. Yeah, I mean that game's always been such a weird port and a weird remake. Because it's on the PS3 and the architecture with that game is supposedly, from what I've heard, absolutely like just locked on that fucking system. So I mean, who knows even how they're gonna do that? But
they might not do it. They might just not.
There's no way. That's crazier than Survive being on there. If they didn't put 4 on there, there's no reason to buy a Master Collection Volume 2 if 4 isn't on there. There's literally no reason.
Yeah, 4 is definitely the reason. I'm not saying that they won't do it. I'm just saying that it seems like it is quite the task to
It'll also
attempt.
it's going to be, I guarantee you, mark my fucking words, for the Volume 2 Master Collection will be broken, specifically 4 on release. They might fix it down the line like they have been with 1, but 4 will be broken. It's going to be fucked. Like it's whatever way they figure out to get it to work, it's going to be like terrible. I guarantee
If somebody asked me to predict, I would predict that Volume 2 is just going to have 4 Peace Walker and Survive. That's what I would predict. I don't think it would have Ground Zeroes.
Or 5. Oh, 4 Peace Walker and Survive, but not 5.
I think that I don't think it would have 5.
Oh.
I don't think it would have 5 because they already have like a special edition of the Phantom Pain that includes Ground Zero and Phantom Pain, and that sells well as is.
That's true. I would be happier if they did like 4 Peace Walker, like portable ops, like load it with that shit. Acid, I guess, even though I don't really like acid that much.
Yeah.
Those things, I would be happier with that, but
from a financial perspective, putting Ground Zeroes or Phantom Pain on there would be really bad because those sell really well already. They're on Steam. They work very well. And what you would hope, from a financial perspective, is that somebody would play Master Collection 2, play through 4, and want to play 5, and 5 isn't on there, so they have to go buy it.
Yeah.
I don't think 5 will be on there.
Wasn't there a collection before the remasters HD collection? Yeah, there was, but it was on the PS3. So there was an HD collection that had all of the games before 4, and then there was one called the
didn't have 1.
The legacy, it included the Legacy Edition does.
It included a code Metal Gear Solid 1, but it didn't come with it on the disc.
The HD one didn't, but the Legacy Edition.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There was another one released afterwards called the Legacy Collection that had 4. It has every game except for 5. It has Metal Gear 1, 2, Solid 1, 2, 3, and then Solid 4 on its own disc, which is just a copy of Metal Gear Solid 4 for the PS3 because it's already on PS3. So that's actually, up until recently, I don't know if you know this, but that was like in my opinion, the best way to play all the games is like grab that copy on eBay because it was selling at like $5. I remember a few years ago I bought it for like a couple dollars online on eBay, and then all of a sudden in the past like couple years it's fucking skyrocketed. It's like $100 now. So it's probably just better to play the Master Collection. Try to find a copy of Guns of the Patriots. I don't know if that's cheap though. I haven't looked at the prices of that, or fucking emulated, I guess, if you have a tank computer. Have you grown a mullet? No, I have not. I just haven't cut my hair in like 6 months.
Dude, I don't think people know what a mullet is. It's not a mullet unless it's short in the front. Because I've seen people with long hair and they'd be like, "Oh, you have a mullet."
Well, you can't tell. Like, no. You can't tell that my hair isn't short in the front now because I have a hat on, so it does kind of look. I get the mullet thing, but no, it's not a mullet. It's just my hair is just really long. My hair in the front is like down to my chin at this point. It's crazy. I need to get it cut. I'm getting it cut soon, like next 2 weeks or so. It's good. It's all coming off.
Why?
I'm done with it. I hate it. I'm sick of it.
You hate it? You've got such Final Fantasy hair going on right now.
I'm sick of it, dude. I can't wear. It's so hard to style without the hat on that I can't not wear a hat. Like it takes forever to get it to look decent without a hat on. So I just have to always wear a hat. It sucks, man. It's the worst.
You're just gonna buzz it like mine.
No, I'll just go back to my old haircut with like a short fade on the sides and then have it a couple inches on the top. That's what I used to do.
That'll be the new style.
The new style, yeah. I mean, that's what I did for years, and then I just grew my hair out.
Just go all in and cut it like Leon. Just go for the Leon cut.
That's true. That's true. People in my life have been trying to convince me to do that. Actually,
Just do RE6 Leon, so it's not like here, it's like here, and then just gets kind of shorter to the back.
I want Leon in the weird like direct to DVD movie that came out afterwards.
Welcome to Raccoon City.
Yeah, the animated movie, the CG movie.
Degeneration.
Maybe.
Which one? There's four. There's four films.
Never mind. I don't know this much.
Okay, well,
I've seen like a
there's
screenshot.
four.
I've seen one screenshot that I was referencing as a joke. I have no idea what movie it is.
He's in four of them.
Had to shell out 120 on eBay for my copy. Yeah, it's getting pretty crazy. Twin Snakes would be a nice ad. So much discourse around it.
They won't do that.
Yeah, probably not, because it's the thing with Twin Snakes is it's kind of, I mean, it's already a remake of the first game, and I think they're probably going to want to remake the first game next.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
So it kind of cuts into that a little bit.
And also, it's notorious for being like mad silly.
Yeah, it's definitely not as good either. Like I don't hate that game I didn't hate that game as much as everybody else does. But it's not. I think
that game is fun.
It's not bad.
I said that when I did my video on the original Metal Gear Solid. I said that the Twin Snakes is great if you play it as if it's Otacon's explanation of the events of Shadow Moses to like Sunny or something.
Yeah,
it's a great addition if you look at it like that. It's like that's how Otacon sees those events having happened.
Yeah, you told me about that before. I liked that idea. Portable Ops, Portable Ops should go on there in my opinion. I did like Portable Ops. I thought it was good. The other thing that gets weird though is they're gonna have to decide. They're probably gonna have to really like stipulate these are non-canon games on the collection somehow. Be like these are alternate timeline games if they do Ghost Babel, if they do Portable Ops, if they do Acid or Acid 2. Because Portable Ops is weirdly, it's confusing because it does seem like it's canon, but it isn't.
Are there any non-canon entries in the first Master Collection? I don't own it.
The first Master Collection was just Metal Gear 1, 2, Metal Gear Solid 1, Metal Gear Solid 2, and Metal Gear Solid 3.
Okay, they might try to keep it all canon.
Yeah, if they do that, then it's just 4 Peace Walker, 5 if they decide to include that. Hey guys, it's me, Dad. What's up, Damon? How's it going? Shouts out. Great channel. Cool.
Well,
cool vids.
They might claim Survive as canon though.
They definitely will. I mean, it is technically canon. What is going on with my voice all of a sudden? I can't talk.
It is technically canon. It just happens in an alternative reality through a portal.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Do you want to talk about the this Red Letter Media thing?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So there's been this weird discourse going around right now because Red Letter Media released a video on Star Wars The Acolyte. And I know this doesn't seem like related to our thing, but in my opinion, it's all media related. It's related to how you talk about media. So, but they released a video on Star Wars The Acolyte, and this clip kind of went viral on Twitter of Mahler's podcast talking about, which he has like, I've never even seen their podcast, but they have like 70 people on this podcast. It's wild. But they were talking about their review of The Acolyte, and here, I'll show the clip real quick.
Lost segment. turn it on and it annoys you or you don't like it, stop watching it.
Oh, come on.
And this was so just that, right? That's basically it. Is this was the thing that everybody got upset about, was that Red Letter Media was talking about the Acolyte, and they said, if you don't like it, just stop watching it. And this is, even they watched the whole video in their podcast, and I've seen the whole video because I just watch Red Letter Media. I really like them. I've watched their stuff for a long time, but they took this out of context in the context of this video. Most of that video wasn't even really about the Acolyte. It was about the culture war surrounding the Acolyte and all of these people making money off of the outrage and bullshit and stuff. And
Disney makes the most money out of anybody thanks to that stuff.
That is true.
That's all free publicity.
That is true. That is a really good point.
I think Disney loves that culture war stuff more than anybody because it just keeps their mediocre show being talked about. Just go ahead, keep going.
Well, I think my biggest issue with this was that they were sort of talking about the average person, and Mahler and this podcast used it as a way to dunk on Red Letter Media and say you guys literally do this for a living. You can't just stop watching something because you don't like it or blah, 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 whatever. And I think that's bullshit. I think they were talking about the average person. And I think that is good advice to give to the average person. I don't think you should be giving critics advice to the average person. I don't think average people, if they don't like something, should force themselves to watch it. I think that they just shouldn't watch it if they don't like it. You know what I mean? So I understand that it isn't a good point of criticism, and people get really bent out of shape when people say this, oh, if you don't like it, don't watch it. And this happens with games too. People say, oh, if you don't like it, don't play it. Obviously that doesn't apply to people like us. If we're covering an entire series, then we're going to play it anyways. We have to play it even if we don't like it. But I don't know. What do you think about this?
I think that the phrase, if you don't like it, turn it off, is very sinister because it's true. It's half true. Because if you don't like something, then sure, don't watch it. But the thing is that it's sinister because it becomes a way of ensuring your product. It becomes a way of disregarding criticism is what it is. And I think that's very obvious to most people. So for instance, what if, take a game that you've covered that you liked or you wanted to like, and then a new entry came out and it did things that you didn't think it should be doing for the franchise that kind of took away what you liked about it. And somebody said, well, I think it's good and you're wrong. And if you don't like it, just don't watch it. And it becomes especially egregious when it comes from people like Red Letter Media who, it's true that they made a living doing it. But whenever you are known for taking a product and say, look at all these things that are wrong with it, and then someone else does that to something you like, and you say, fuck you, well, don't watch it. This is fine.
Well, they don't.
You know what I mean?
I mean, they don't particularly like the Acolyte. They didn't say it was amazing. They just had a little bit more of a nuanced take. Not a nuanced take, but they had a little bit more of a neutral take on it than saying it's woke, it sucks.
It's because just super disingenuous.
The point of, I don't think it's disingenuous. The point of their video was more that the show sucks because it's a bad show, or the parts that are bad because it's bad, not because there's too much diversity unnecessarily or something. And I think I liked that video because I think this is a good point that I try to make on a regular basis, because I see this a lot where, and I don't know the Acolyte. I haven't seen it. So, but I think it's a good point that needs to be made in media, because a lot of stuff, a lot of this discourse around oh, it's bad because it's woke. And a lot of the time you can just play something or watch something or listen to something or read something and see that it's not bad because it's woke. It's just bad. It just fucking sucks. the inclusion of different, people that doesn't necessarily make it bad. It's just bad because it sucks. Maybe there's a correlation between people that are super woke and bad writing. I'll give you that.
I think that it's deeper than that, and this is why I said it's sinister. And I've kind of pieced together a little bit of I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory, but here is what I see happening. They make media, whether or not it is good or isn't, and then what a lot of the news outlets say is, if you don't like this, then you're a racist or this or that. That kind of does like a subliminal programming to the person that says, I didn't like what I watched, and they're telling me I didn't like it because I am a this. So that must mean the elements that are bad about this are the things that they're telling me to. It's a marketing strategy. It's a very sinister way of marketing and advertising.
They're using that as a way to bait people into getting
people
pissed.
are very suggestible.
Yeah,
people are very suggestible. And if you show, and I know that because I'll admit that I'm suggestible to a lot of things. If somebody shows me something and I say I don't like that, and they say, well, you don't like it because of these things, and I think, okay, well, I guess I don't like it because of those things, but I still don't like it. Then if you do that long enough, then that person will say, I don't like this because of those things. But is that really true? Or have they been baited into getting involved in a marketing cycle that keeps their product being talked about regardless of the quality of the product itself?
That is a good point. That's a really good point. I've never thought about that, but that is I maybe agree with that theory a little bit. But I think the thing is, though, and maybe it goes to your point, is that I see way more shit these days about people complaining that stuff is woke and there's too much politics in it than I do people saying that people are racist for not liking a certain thing.
Oh, then
I see way too much of
just optimized your ex.
That's not, I don't think that's true, dude. I don't think that's true.
I see plenty of both.
If you go on YouTube right now and search Star Wars The Acolyte or something similar to that, it is going to be all fucking video. The top search results are all going to be videos. If you go on Reddit,
but if you go on Reddit and search it, it's going to be the opposite.
Maybe, but YouTube is way more prevalent than Reddit, and YouTube is way more of a pulse on what people are thinking rather than Reddit is, for sure.
I don't know if that's if what you're saying is true or isn't, because I don't know if we can really quantify who has the bigger voice or not.
It's about users. There's way more users on YouTube.
Well, what I'm saying is I don't know if we can quantify who is the silent or who is the majority of the fan base, people who are claiming you're an ist if you don't like it, or people who are claiming it's bad because it's woke. I don't know if we can reasonably quantify who there is more of right now.
Honestly, there's more of neither of them. There's more of your average Joe that doesn't know about any of this shit and just goes to work and goes, did you see the new episode of The Acolyte last night? Yeah, dude, it was great. I loved it. It's really good. I like Star Wars. That's it. Yeah. Those people are the majority. These two groups are very, I would say, insignificant in the grand scheme of things. Not insignificant, because back to your point, this is incredible.
Yeah,
marketing.
They're marketers. Yeah, they're great for marketing.
They're free. Well, they're getting paid, but with ad revenue to market.
Some of them are, but how many people are getting involved in this conversation and tweeting and reposting and commenting
and have like 5 followers? Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Didn't Mike and Rich say they stopped watching a show they were making vids on after a certain point because they legit got sick of it? Saying RLM can't do that is dumb when they have done that. Yeah, that's true too, because this is like the worst. These are the worst people to attack for this type of thing as well, because their whole thing is just like doing whatever they want and only like watching the stuff that they want, whether it's bad or good, as long as they have like a good time. Like that's their whole thing. And so, you know, like they don't even review half of the movies that come out anymore because they just don't want to watch them. They think they're boring. I thought Red Letter Media's takes are consistently based, including the ones in the Acolyte video, very reasonable and level-headed. Yeah, I think they're one of the very few people I've seen come out on these topics that aren't on either side. And maybe it's Fence City, maybe it's like centrist or whatever people are saying, but like because honestly I think half the time
no one is obligated to take an extreme stance, by the way.
No, you're not
referring to you, but in reference to people who may be Fence City or maybe centrist, no one is obligated to take an extreme stance on something.
Don't ever let anyone tell you you have to have an opinion.
You don't
ever.
You
let
really
them tell
don't
you
have
that.
to have an opinion.
You literally
You
don't.
actually can just not have an opinion on something.
Yeah.
And you can literally say, I guess I'll sit on the fence because I don't care.
That's our rallying cry here. This is the place where you don't have to have an opinion. You're allowed. No, but they're like, but yeah, they like, you know, they were the only people that I've seen be, because I think sometimes these people, these outraged people, that are crying that there's too much politics in the things that they like, often make the discussion around the property more political than it already was with the political things in there. Do you agree or do you disagree?
I don't think I agree with the statement that they make it more political, because the comment that said left unchecked we get things like She-Hulk. That's true. I think that getting things like She-Hulk and stuff like that is actually good in a way, because we need things like that to wake people up to its prevalence. But I mean, God, there's no way to really talk about this without getting like pseudo philosophical. But the fact of the matter is that it is a very common tactic if you have a philosophy or a worldview that you think is good and you want to push it, then the way you do it is by taking 2 steps forward and then taking 1 step back. And if you do that for 15 steps, you are going to change the worldview. So if you're someone who watches something and says, I don't like that worldview, which anybody is allowed to not like a worldview, and I want that to go the other way, you can't just say, I'm okay with the 2 steps forward or the 1 step forward. I'll just go do my own thing, because eventually that 1 step forward is going to walk all over your culture. So if you have any stake, or you have an opinion that says, I don't like what I'm seeing, it's not unfair to call it out, is all I'm saying.
I don't think it's unfair to call it out. But I don't think most of these people are acting out of the goodness of their heart. I don't think most of these people are acting with good intent. I don't think most.
You think everyone is a grifter? You think
I don't think
everyone's just in it for money?
everyone's a grifter, but I think a lot of them are grifters. And
everything is a psyop. Everything is a grifter. There is no sincerity in the world.
dude, we're the only two.
Black Pill Hour.
We're the only two that aren't AI on the internet.
Yeah,
it's literally us.
We're in Black Pill Hour now.
And maybe like
guests who agree to come on.
Yeah, if you're a guest on the show, you've proven that's the test. If you get on this show, you're not AI. And it's so basically that's it. There's like 12 or 14 people total that aren't AI on the internet, and that's it.
Yeah. Sons of Liberty was right all along.
Yeah, we failed. We failed the mission.
It's over.
No, I don't know. I thought this kind of thing was so funny because it was finally an example of somebody being like, you know what, this is kind of crazy that there's so much discourse from both sides surrounding this. And they made a good point in this video too, that I wanted to bring up to you, because you had said before that there was, they included clips from an after show for Star Trek Discovery. And it was hosted by Will Wheaton. And he was talking about like all of the woke messaging in the show and how much he loved it or whatever. And I'll have to send it to you, find it and send it to you later. Cause you said at one point during a previous episode, Star Wars has had a much worse fate than Star Trek has with this stuff. And I want you to say those same words to my face when you see this clip. I
don't know if I'll be able to do it after, dude. Will Wheaton is like a human embodiment of a box of powdered donuts.
He was like the one that started the whole like Soylent thing.
That guy is.
He was the one that started grifting for Soylent. I theorize that because bullying is no longer socially acceptable, bullies are finding new creative ways to bully nerds, including ruining nerds' hobbies.
It sure seems that way sometimes.
That's a good way to look at it. I've never really thought about that. They're still coming after us all these years later.
Well, if you look at interviews with the showrunner and the actors and actresses from Star Wars: The Acolyte, it really seems like they don't like people who like Star Wars. You know what I mean?
I mean, maybe, but at the end of the day, like, I don't know. I think maybe just make peace with the fact that your property sucks now. Like I was a fan of Star Wars at one point too. and I gave it up. I was like, okay, well, this sucks. Now
Well,
I'm gonna move
I,
on.
I I actually did that for 3 or 4 years. I'm putting a small bit about this in the script for a review I'm going to be working on. But for several years, I I stopped even talking about Star Wars. I stopped caring about it. I stopped wanting anything to do with it. It wasn't until for literally several years, I think even after The Last Jedi, so 2018 to last year, I didn't talk about it. I didn't care about it. It wasn't until I went and did a review for Bounty Hunter last year that I remembered, oh, I actually do kind of fuck with this, and I don't care if anyone thinks one way or the other about it.
Mhm.
And that's why I've started telling people that Disney decanonizing the original expanded universe is probably the biggest act of mercy I've ever seen them do, because now there are two separate properties.
They
Because
can't fuck with it. It's
everything that happened before the Disney buyout, Disney said all of that is its own thing. We're not doing anything in that universe anymore. So now there's two different existing universes.
Legends.
One of which, yeah, the Legends universe, as they call it, it's still there, but it's completed. It's done.
Yeah.
There's nothing is going to ruin it, or because Disney only does things in their own universe. So if people say that makes no sense in Star Wars, why would that be there? I'm like, well, it makes sense in their Star Wars, but that's not the same one you grew up on. They're two different properties. So
Yeah.
I've made peace with the fact that I can actually enjoy this old, because it's like a different universe almost,
Yeah.
It's like choosing to like a certain like multiverse of Marvel or something, but you don't like a different one. You can reasonably do that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. But I think that's a good way to look at it, is to just be like, well, that's there, like, I don't know. Like, would I be mad? Well, I mean, the Silent Hill franchise has already been trying to be like modernized with the whole like short message thing, like, and I'm not
Yeah.
getting outraged about it. I played the game on stream. I thought it was stupid, and I moved on. We're done. I'm not gonna make a
Okay.
20-minute video about how Silent Hill is woke now. Like, I don't care. I don't give a shit.
I got to address this comment. If you like 3 movies, a TV show, multiple video games, and some lore, you're a fan of that franchise. Most people will say they're a fan of a franchise if there's only one movie and they like it, brother. If you like that, it's hours and hours of media. Just
Well,
because you don't
that's
like everything
subjective.
about
That's
just because you don't like
subjective.
everything about a franchise doesn't mean you're not a fan of the franchise.
That's,
you know what I'm saying?
You disproved your own point though by saying that there are people that like one movie and they say that they're a fan. Like, you're allowed to just say whatever you want. You can like everything and except for one thing and be like, I'm not a fan.
Okay, but that would be like me saying, I realized I wasn't actually a Dead Space fan. I just liked the first 2 games, the comics, the books, and the spinoff. But I played 3 and I realized I don't actually like Dead Space.
Yeah, you're allowed to do that if you want.
Well, yeah, you can say that, but in sincerity, you like Dead Space. You just don't like the last game.
You can't tell somebody that they're not a fan of something.
Fair enough. I'm just saying maybe consider reworking the lens on that. If you like that much from a given universe, you maybe I'm wrong.
That's not,
maybe you
compared
actually
to what Star Wars is now. That's not that much. That's like, I think maybe it should be percentage based.
Oh, so you should only call yourself a fan if you're a high enough percentage.
Yeah. Well, I saw
I
a
love
thing
that.
in
That's really
chat.
funny.
Somebody said, you claim bullying is no longer socially acceptable, but half this conversation is being done by someone trying to gatekeep hobbies. And I see what you're saying, but gatekeeping is not socially acceptable anymore. That's not
Which one is trying to gatekeep?
probably you. I'm
trying to gatekeep.
I don't know, but I would assume it's you. I think I'm less gatekeepy than you are.
I'm fine with that. That's funny.
But
I
I'm
think
also
gatekeeping is really
okay.
funny,
I'm
but-
also okay with gatekeeping. I think gatekeeping is fine. I think it's a good way to ensure that your niche doesn't, like, I don't know, when niches get big, they get ruined a lot of the time. And that isn't always necessarily because of woke stuff. That's not what I'm saying. It's just sometimes they get watered down and shit. People don't like that. People like the nicheness of it and want to keep that as long as they can. So gatekeeping is like a way to test people. I think gatekeeping's generally okay. Obviously, if you're doing it for, like bad reasons, then it's not good. But
well, I
if
mean,
you're saying like people of a certain gender can't partake in our hobby, then that's bad, But
well, yeah, you shouldn't be doing that. But if you so if you want to play Pathfinder and you sit down with some people and they're describing you the rules of Pathfinder and you say, I don't like this, I like this, and you describe the rules of Dungeons and Dragons,
Yeah.
then you shouldn't alter Pathfinder. You should just tell them, hey, I don't think you're into Pathfinder. You should play Dungeons and Dragons instead.
Yeah. Yep.
That's actual gatekeeping, and that's fine.
Yeah. I think.
But we're not
gatekeeping
going to
is
change the
taken
rules
on
of
a
Pathfinder for
different mean.
Well, yeah.
I think making cringeworthy, over-the-top woke media is just an easy way to have people market it by being outraged or defending it. I would have had no clue the accolade existed if it wasn't for Red Letter Media. I mean, that's basically what Evan's saying. I think that's a good point. I think being a fan is being able to objectively be able to like certain things and others. For Terminator, I like the first 2 movies. 3 is a guilty pleasure, and I really liked Resistance. Basically, all the other crap is whatever to me, but I still feel like I'm more of a fan of that than Star Wars, I would assume is what he's talking about.
Yeah, I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Percentage based. We'll get a percentage calculator.
Yeah, it's got to be, you have to like over, let's say, I would say 50%. Yeah, you have to like 51% of the media. If you like 51% of the media or higher, then you're a fan. And if not, then you're not a fan.
That's
fake
okay.
fan.
But this is a stupid conversation, I admit. But it's also entertaining to entertain it.
Yeah.
But for instance, if you take Dragon Ball Z, I've poured hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours into Dragon Ball Z games, watching Dragon Ball Z. I love the series, but I don't like Super, and I don't like the original Dragon Ball, and I don't really like all of GT. So I really just like Dragon Ball Z, but I'm a super fan of Dragon Ball Z. I consume it, but does that mean I'm not a fan of Dragon Ball Z?
Nope.
I pour hundreds and hundreds of hours into it, but because I don't break the percentage, I'm not a fan of Dragon Ball.
You're not, dude. I think this is good. I think this is a good.
We're learning that you're not a fan of the series unless you like more about it.
Yeah,
that's really funny.
I
Maybe
think
that's more gatekeeping. That's more gatekeeping.
That is. I think this is good. I think this is how we should judge things from now on.
Yeah, from now on, don't say you're a fucking fan unless you like this much. That's really good.
You know the guys that ask you to name a certain amount of songs if you're wearing like a band shirt or something. It's like that, but for everything.
Oh, you were Slipknot? Okay, what's the name of their first album? No, not the self-titled, the EP that came before it.
I've actually never had that happen to me. Have you had that happen to you?
No, I've never had that happen to me in my life, and I've worn hundreds of band T-shirts.
Dude, I actually I have a shirt that I've been wearing for like over a year now. I have a shirt, and it has a horse on it, and it says just far, I don't care where. And I didn't realize until today that it was a Deftones shirt. That's a Deftones lyric. I didn't realize that. I was listening to Deftones in my car, and I was like jamming out to that song. I can't remember which song it is, but
I think that's Passenger with Maynard James Keenan.
I think it might be
Tool vocalist, yeah.
And I was listening to it, and I was like humming those words, and I was like, "Yo, wait, that's the fucking shirt I have." So maybe I'm a fake Deftones fan, actually.
To be fair, Deftones has like 5 or 6 songs that don't sound anything like any of their other songs, and those are their most popular ones. So
yeah, they got TikTok famous, weirdly enough, like in the past like couple of years, which was so odd to me. There's like young kids listening to Deftones now and like going to Deftones shows and shit. Weird, but I guess it happens. That's kind of a cool second life that bands can have now. Like you made big music in the
a whole
2000s.
new generation.
Yeah, and now there's just like a whole new.
That happened to Limp Bizkit recently as well.
Really?
They have like they're at a new peak. They're selling out stadiums again. Like an insane amount of people are going to see Limp
Holy
Bizkit.
shit!
I think some people are actually saying that they might be making more money now than they were back then because they're selling out so many stadiums.
Dude, 90s.
They're doing very good.
90s and 2000s like dad rock is having such a fucking. It's having its 80s. The 80s.
Yeah.
The moment the 80s music had like 10, 20 years ago. That it's having now.
It's finally time.
Which
I
is
love
awesome.
that music.
Yeah,
so,
me too.
Yeah,
it's fucking
I love Limp Bizkit.
great.
Deftones, I fuck with Deftones heavy.
Breaking Benjamin needs to have.
Oh yeah, dude,
their
I love Breaking Benjamin.
resurgence.
The problem there is
Benjamin's a guilty pleasure for me. I can recognize that music is not very good, but I like it.
I think it's good.
I think it's good?
Well, I think that there is a talent to being able to produce simple music that's catchy and
That's
and
true.
quality.
That's true. I'll
So
give you that.
I would say you don't have to be Tesseract or fucking Polyphia super tapping
I
to be
hate
talented.
Polyphia. I hate Polyphia.
Me too. They're the
Hate
fucking worst.
Polyphia. They suck.
But you don't have to be that to be talented. I think there is a strong talent in writing music that's fun and catchy. But Breaking Benjamin can't have a resurgence because they never had a fall off. They have maintained this almost the same popularity
That's
from
true.
start to finish.
Yeah, they're still.
They've been selling out the same amount.
Yeah, I guarantee you, there's probably still a ton of people going to Breaking Benjamin shows now.
Yeah.
What's a band like that fell off? In that
there were a lot of
Shine Down.
they
Nobody's
haven't
going
had
to
a
see,
resurgence.
Nobody's going to see Shine Down.
Creed is back.
Creed is back. Yeah,
They're
internet.
touring again and they're doing very well.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
I
good for
like
them.
Creed.
Who's the guy? Who's the lead singer of that?
Scott Stapp.
Yeah.
So let's go there.
Dude, Creed's great.
I love Creed.
I feel like we,
Yeah.
as a society, just got. Oh, you know what? Before we move on from this, we were talking about Red Letter Media.
Yeah.
That whole thing. I wanted, because you had commented on somebody else. I think it was That Boy Aqua or something. You posted on Twitter about this, and you said you hate Red Letter Media because they gaslit.
I said the words I hate Red Letter Media.
No, I don't know. Something. It was probably like I dislike, or I don't know what your exact words were.
I don't think I said anything about Red Letter Media. Maybe I did, by the way. I'm not trying to.
You did. No. You said you didn't like them or whatever because they gaslit a generation into thinking that the prequels were bad, which is something that people have only just come out of now.
Yeah.
Do you believe that? Is that real?
Yeah, that's real.
I disagree with you.
I know because you got gaslit by Red Letter Media into thinking the prequels are
I'm
so
not
super mega flawed.
I'm not saying I disagree with you because I think that the prequels are bad and I agree with them. I'm saying that they didn't create that. The prequels were hated far before Red Letter Media came along.
I think that narrative is not as true as people would have you.
Dude,
believe.
I went and scoured the internet for a positive review before the year 2002 for the Phantom Menace, and I couldn't find one.
Yeah, that's critical. Are you telling me that with the knowledge we have now, that movies were that critical reception reflected the audience enjoyment overall of movies, and even back then?
I think back then it was a lot closer than it is now. I think critical.
I don't think so. I think that those movies were beloved by millions.
You are
of people.
so fucking insane. You've gaslit
Well,
yourself.
that's something I can prove.
Is what you've done. You've gaslit yourself.
Maybe.
Even my dad. And like, I mean, this is anecdotal. It doesn't prove anything.
Both my parents love the prequels. So
dude, my
if you have
dad
anecdotal, I do
fucking
too.
hated the Phantom Menace, and I would watch it all the time because I was a stupid little kid that like.
Me too. Yeah.
Was just like
I
Jar
watched
Jar
it all the
Binks.
time as a kid.
And yeah, he hated it. He was like, I hate this movie. This movie sucks.
That's so
Jar
funny.
Jar is the most annoying thing. And I
Both
would
of my
just watch
parents
it all
loved
the
the
time.
prequels. My dad thought that those movies were great. I mean, my dad doesn't really like movies. He's not like a cinephile or anything. He's spend all day outside working hard in the heat of the summer. But whenever we would sit, he took me and my brother to see episode 2, I think twice. And he was like, that's a fun little film. I like that.
He took me to see episode I think 2. I don't remember seeing 2 that much in theaters, but we definitely saw 3. And he was a huge Star Wars fan when he was a kid.
My dad. Yeah, my dad doesn't really give that much of a fuck about anything. So
He was a massive Star Wars fan, and he just hated. He really didn't like this. I remember him kind of liking the third movie, but yeah.
I think everybody kind of liked the third movie though.
But my dad's weird. My dad is. He also does physical labor, but he watches so much. He probably watches more movies and TV than I do, and plays. I don't think he plays more video games than I do, but he watches a lot.
Oh yeah, I think if my mom didn't watch movies, my dad probably just wouldn't. He wouldn't watch
He would never
anything.
even have heard of anything.
Yeah, he would. I mean, he would hear about it because he reads. He's a hyper reader. He's always reading something on the internet.
Oh, that's cool.
He's way smarter than I am because of it. So, but he would not give a shit about anything fictional or media related. I don't think.
My dad reads fantasy novels, a lot of fantasy novels.
My dad reads political, philosophical
Damn
stuff.
Somebody said best from worst. That's a good for the first. Let's not do the sequel trilogy, but what about?
Dude, I'm just gonna
one
get
to
fucking lit up.
Yeah.
My opinions on the Star Wars movies are not popular.
What is it? Because I don't think we've ever actually done this. What is
We
your?
have it. Oh fuck! Because are you asking me or him? Because my dad didn't see my. I don't
I
even
would
think my
assume
dad.
I would assume he's asking me because you just said your dad doesn't watch
I was about
TV.
to say I don't think my dad even knows that. Like I don't think he knows that the universes are split. I don't think he would even give a shit what that meant.
I would normally say that I don't know because we don't talk about movies and TV that much. But I do think I remember talking about it with him, and he thought it was okay. I thought it was okay too. That was like the only thing I've watched out of the modern TV era of Star
The Obi-Wan
Wars.
show?
Yeah, and I thought it was fine. It was pretty boring for the most part.
There's a
but
fan made cut that turns that into a 2.5 hour movie that is so
that
much
would
better.
probably be a lot better.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
a lot
it's
of
actually
fluff
really
in that
good.
show. But the
As someone-
end,
yeah.
like the end, that whole last episode shit, that was pretty good.
That was pretty good.
It was okay. It wasn't bad, which is about
Yeah.
as good as it can get right now for me in Star Wars, because I don't have the same allure that I once did to Star Wars. So I'm definitely biased against it. Like I don't care about lightsabers anymore. I don't know.
I still do.
That's cool.
I have this thing where I want to get my channel just big enough where I can convince one of these, because there's like 7 or 8 like companies that make lightsabers, like really high quality, like realistic sabers.
Yeah.
I want to get sponsored by one of them so I can get one
cool
for free.
lightsaber.
That's what I want. I want to get like a $500 lightsaber for free and then like show it off in videos and be like, this video is sponsored by Theory Sabers. I'd like them to sponsor me, but we'll see. I'll have to keep
One
growing.
day you'll get there.
Um,
Okay, so quit stalling. What is it?
all right. Well, okay. Part of the Star Wars fan base is
If
so
one of the
fucking.
prequels is number one, I think I'll even be upset.
It is. Of course it is.
It is? What is it? Is it Revenge of the Sith?
It's 3. Yeah, it's Revenge of the Sith.
Is your favorite Star Wars movie?
By a country fucking mile.
By
yeah.
a mile? No, it's not even close.
I would- Yeah, it's not even close. Revenge of the
insane,
Sith.
bro.
I would rather watch Revenge of the Sith like 3 times in a row before any of the other movies make the cut.
Have you ever
Right.
have you ever seen the Full Force Airsoft Fatty documentary?
Yeah. I've seen it all the way through.
Do you remember the part where they ask him and his friend that he's having a feud with? They ask him separately, like, what's their favorite Star Wars movie? Right after
Vaguely.
they ask him separately, and he's like, Airsoft Fatty's like, oh, Revenge of the Sith. Obviously, the fight scenes are so cool. And then like they ask the
Yeah.
other guy, and he's like, oh, obviously, Revenge of the Sith. Like they both love it.
Yeah, I remember that. That was really funny.
It is funny.
Revenge of the Sith is just it's a cool film, dude. It's like that video I sent you that one time. It was like your favorite movie is Revenge of the Sith, isn't it? Remember?
Oh yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, it's a cool fucking movie. It's got great action sequences. It's got the best score. It's got the best music of the franchise. I just think it's cool. But I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like a big part of that reason isn't because that's the first Star Wars movie I saw in theaters that I was able to like cognizantly be aware of.
So
I
there's
think
some
that
like, nostalgia with it a little bit.
yeah. But I like, and this is where people don't this is where people don't really like what I have to say, because I like
It's like
that the
poetry. It
prequels-
rhymes.
well, yeah. I like that the prequels turned Star Wars more into sci-fi and less into space fantasy, because the original trilogy is like space fantasy.
See, I was just gonna say that's why I liked the original movies so much more, was because of the space fantasy. I had a different idea of what the Jedis would look
Exactly.
like in the
Mhm.
prequels than what they actually ended up looking like. And I still think my idea is cooler than whatever George Lucas came up with.
You literally just you said the sentence that describes people who don't like the prequels. I literally think my idea of what Star Wars should have been is better than what George made.
Yes.
That's it.
Yep.
Everybody who doesn't like the prequels has thought that.
Because George Lucas
Um,
is stupid and I'm smart. That's why.
Yeah. That's why he made the most culture shifting movie franchise in history.
Dude,
'Cause
they
he's an
just
idiot.
they'll figure it out someday, dude. I promise. They're just
It's-
they're blinded right now. They can't see.
Another thing is people really hate the politics aspect of the prequels.
Yeah.
I think they're cool. I think that it's
Really?
fun. I love hearing about, there's a book that takes place right before the Phantom Menace, and the whole thing is about why the Trade Federation linked up with Darth Sidious because of the taxation on their trade routes. I think that shit is so fun. I love that. I think that the line Padme says in episode 3, where she's like, "This is how democracy falls to a thunderous applause" or whatever. I was like, that's such a cool line. I just love all of that intrigue and stuff. I thought it was so cool that Count Dooku like decides to put together this whole like political act to like go back against the Republic because of taxation, and because I love that. And if you don't like that, you're gonna fucking hate the prequels.
Yeah, no
because
shit, but that's not. I think the biggest problem with that, though, I understand that you like it, and that's fine, obviously, but I think that's not what anybody expected.
Right.
Was gonna be in the prequels.
I'm just trying to say all of that as a pretense before I give my ranking.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's Revenge of the Sith as the
Okay.
top. That's my favorite movie. I love that. I think it has the best quotes. I think it has the best music. I think it has the best action. And watching, I think it's the most emotional. I think it's the most emotionally moving, because watching Anakin fall to the dark side and watching Obi-Wan have to, like, it's not just the fight scene, right? You can't just have choreography. That scene could be exactly as it is choreography style, and it wouldn't be as good if it didn't have the emotional impact of these two characters and who they were fighting, because that of what that fight means about Obi-Wan having failed Anakin, all of it's really great. But probably my second favorite is this is simple. It's Empire Strikes Back. I think
Okay.
anybody that's not controversial. Everybody
No,
likes Empire.
no, yeah.
This is where people aren't gonna like it, is because I think next would
God.
be, I think Phantom Menace is next.
Phantom Menace is your number
I think
3.
I think Phantom Menace is my third favorite.
That goes above
and,
Return of the Jedi for you.
yeah, which Return of the Jedi would be next.
Okay.
That's
And
4.
Return of the Jedi.
And then I would say
And 5, and then Attack of the Clones.
no, Attack of the Clones, then A New Hope. A New Hope is my least favorite Star Wars movie.
4, yeah.
Yeah.
A
4
New
is my least
Hope is your
favorite.
least favorite Star Wars movie.
Yeah, and I let me just say, I'm ranking these in order of what I would prefer to watch, not what I think is better. I don't think Attack of the Clones or Phantom Menace are better movies than A New Hope.
Oh, this is your favorite, not best.
Yeah, that's where I've had to point that out to people. I'm like, I'm not telling you what I think is the better movie. I'm telling you what I would rather watch.
So if you were saying better movie, would the original trilogy be above the prequel trilogy?
I think Revenge of the Sith is the best, the most well made,
the most well made movie.
I think it's the best film, but all three of the original movies are probably better than Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones.
I think mine links up with favorite, because actually mine's gonna be best movie, because I don't think I can give like my favorites, because I haven't watched them in a really long time. So it's not like I'm going back and watching them. But I think it's probably 4, 6, 5.
Really? Hold on.
3.
You like 4 and 6 more than 5?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wait,
I'm glad I'm not the only one having a shitty take here.
Wait, no. Sorry, I'm getting them mixed up. 4. Wait,
4 is your favorite.
It's just release order. 4, 5, 6. 4, 5, 6, 3, 2, 1. Yeah.
Okay, so A New Hope is your favorite.
Not release order. 4, 5, 6, and then backwards 3, 2, 1, or 3, 1, 2. Sorry. I gotta redo this because I've fucked it up so many times.
Okay, let's try this again.
A New Hope
is your favorite.
Is my favorite. Then
that's crazy. But
Empire, then Return of the Jedi, then Revenge of the Sith, then Phantom Menace, then Attack of the Clones. Okay. Attack of the Clones is the worst one. It's terrible.
I love it, but yeah. Let's see. What do I like about episode 1 the most? Obviously the ending fight scene is fantastic. It's just really cool. But I think I like Qui-Gon Jinn's character. I like the morality aspect. I'm a lot like Alec Guinness, right? So there was an interview with Alec Guinness on the set of
You're
A New
lot
Hope.
like Alec Guinness?
In my opinion of Star Wars. Because someone interviewed him in his Obi-Wan costume while they were filming A New Hope, before anybody even knew what it was going to be.
Oh, okay.
And I if I'm remembering this correctly, but I do remember Alec Guinness said, "Look, I didn't think I was going to agree to do this movie because the dialogue is very weird and it's stilted and it's hard to say and it's very silly. But I really appreciate the morality and the feeling of like good overcoming evil. And that's why I agreed to do it, because I appreciate what this film means more than what it is.
Okay.
And I think I have very similar feelings to a lot of the movies. Like, my favorite thing about episode 1 is a lot of what it means over what it is. It's so easy for my brain to ignore Jar Jar stepping in shit or whatever, because all of that is silly. Because listening to Qui-Gon talk to Anakin and talk to Anakin's mother and listening to them talk about what it means, like when Qui-Gon says, "Your son gives without thought of getting anything in return." You know, that line, little lines like that symbolize what being a Jedi looks like, have a lot of impact on me. It's these little tiny things that I notice that make me endeared to it. Whereas it's the more obvious, like Jar Jar stepping in shit, that make people turned off to it. And I think that's completely fair. I don't think you'll hear me telling somebody you're wrong for not liking the prequels. I just think that those movies have little nuances that endeared them to me greatly.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is why I prefer them a lot to the original trilogy, I think.
That makes sense. I mean, even just knowing you, like, it would seem like you would like the prequels more anyways.
Yeah.
Just because
Yeah.
like the things that you like, it seems like the prequels would be more.
I like sci-fi. I like laser swords and shit like that. Yeah.
Flipping and flipping in the air and shit.
Overly acrobatic. Like the prequel trilogy was made for me. You know?
Yeah.
George Lucas, my archetype is what George Lucas was kind of thinking of. He was like, "Oh, I made these movies for children." It was my archetype.
Yeah.
So it just worked. I like them.
Yeah. I think, I don't know. I mean, and the thing is too, like, my rankings don't even hold that much weight because, like,
you don't like Star Wars.
I don't like Star Wars anymore. I just,
Yeah.
And I think I liked Star Wars when I was young because I hadn't figured out what I even really liked yet, you know? And that was just kind of something that I liked as a kid. But once I started figuring out what I liked, like, I like Star Trek way more. Like, Star Trek is way more up my alley,
Right.
thematically and just like style wise. Like that's a sci-fi world I like to be in way more than something like Star Wars. But I understand why people do like it and all that shit. That being said, at the end of the day, like, if you do have opinions, and this is the thing, like, if I could be convinced that all of the grifters were genuinely thought this stuff and genuinely these were their opinions and that they weren't skewed by money at all, or ad revenue, then I wouldn't really give a shit. But I do think they are, and it's weird because we will put this type of logic towards people who review games and get a review copy, right? Even just a simple review copy will have people telling you that, oh, you got paid to do this review and you must have given it a good score, blah, or a bad score, whatever, blah, 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 because of this. But we don't apply that same logic to these like grifting people that are like, you know, it's gone woke. Star Wars has gone woke. We don't apply that same logic at all, even though they're definitely incentivized to have way more extremist takes because of ad revenue.
Are you familiar at all with a channel called Star Wars Theory?
It doesn't sound familiar, but I can look it up real quick and see.
There's a channel called Star Wars Theory. It's got over, I think, 3.5 million subscribers, right?
Okay.
I think it is the number one most popular Star Wars channel on YouTube.
Oh, I've seen this guy before. Yeah, I know.
Okay, and he made a video recently where he said, look, it is not better for me to dislike products that come out. And he showed his analytics, and he said his most profitable month, he showed the analytics were when they released the end of The Mandalorian season 2, and Luke was there and he loved it and everybody loved it, and pretty much both fandoms unanimously said that was awesome. Luke is back. This is cool. He said his best month profitable was when there was no hate. There was none of that. Everybody was on board and excited. He said he says his videos sometimes do worse whenever he is negative or whenever he voices things that he doesn't like. So I'm not saying that there isn't money to be made in extreme vitriol.
I'll give
but
you that.
he showed the analytics.
Like or not, I'll give you that. I understand what you're saying, but that is like possibly the worst example ever, because that the Mandalorian time was a time where everyone was still watching Star Wars. Like that was in the, like I wasn't even watching the Mandalorian. I didn't care about it. And I was working at the time, and I had people coming into work going, have you watched it? Have you watched the new episode? The new episode was crazy. Like literally everybody that I worked with was watching it. And these are just like normal people. Like that was in the cultural thing of the time. Like, and I don't think Star Wars is as much there anymore. So I think comparing that is like,
maybe
that's a bad
it's just
example.
it's just what came to my mind, because I see a lot of people.
I see what you're saying though. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I also like my worst reviewed, like my most disliked video is the one where I'm like negative and ragging on Disney. Every video where I've backed off on that and I'm just more trying to be more positive and talk better about like the stuff that I like performs way better.
I mean,
Like
yeah, but that's also it's anecdotal. I mean, what we can do,
Yeah, totally anecdotal.
What
but
we can do is like there is proof that if you get more comments, if you get more interaction, it doesn't matter if it's likes or dislikes. If you get more interaction, your video is going to be pushed more. So, I mean, if you get more comments because you said something that's, you know, controversial, people are going to comment, and then you're going to get more comments. That's more engagement, and your video is going to get pushed more. That's just how it works. Right. And being negative is a cheat code to that. Of course, you can get you can get good comments if you're being positive to something, or you make a good point and people are agreeing with you. But being negative is the easiest way to do that. And I mean, like, you know, my worst Steam games videos aren't controversial, but people love to see you talk bad about shit. Especially when it's fun.
That is true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Do you think, and I don't really care about, I don't watch channels that talk culture war stuff. Really. Yeah. I like to watch, like, you know, video. That's just not the
shit
kind of
that's not going to rot your brain and eat your brain out of your skull forever.
What is it that makes you think these people don't actually hold any of these opinions? They just want money. Do you
I don't
think
it's that they oh sorry, I'll let you finish. My bad.
I was just gonna say, do you think that it's possible that they're not really grifting, that they do have those opinions and they have just figured out that they can monetize it, and that they are doing so?
It's not that I think that, like, when I say grifting, I
mean this for both sides.
Yeah, of course. I don't mean, when I say grifting, I don't mean that, like, I don't mean that they're 100% motivated by money, and on the, like, when they're not filming videos, they're like, oh fuck, man, I wish I didn't have to talk about woke shit. I don't even believe this, you know, like, I don't think it's that. I just think it's amplified, and they're blaming everything on the woke stuff because it's what they've become about. And it probably, to some of them, it is bad. Probably it is like a deal with the devil that they've made, where they can't get out of this shit now, because if they try to do a video that's outside of that, nobody's going to want to watch because they don't give a shit. And that's like the niche that they've carved out for themselves. But I don't think that they're all like completely disingenuous. I just think that a lot of them are amping it up way more than it is. Like, you could say, you could make a review about Alan Wake 2, right? Which had Sweet Baby Inc. involvement or whatever. And you could talk about all of the things that it does, right or wrong, whether you think it's a good or a bad game. And then you could make a comment or even have some input about how Sweet Baby was involved and you don't agree with that and blah, 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 whatever. But in my opinion, a game should be based on its merits and not like a game or any piece of media really should be based on its merits and not the ideologies of the creators or the people working on it or any of that stuff. If it's so bad that you can see it in the media and it's very blatant and obvious, then yeah, obviously it's something to comment on. And if it ruins the entire project because of it, then yeah, that's basically the whole thing and there's really nothing left to talk about. But that kind of stuff is pretty rare from my perspective, where it's ruining the entire thing because of how blatant it is.
Actually, if it does ruin the whole project, just don't say anything about it, because if you don't like it, turn it off. And if it does ruin it, don't criticize it.
You're being disingenuous now.
Yeah, you're right. I am.
I know. No, but I think like this is why I get so annoyed, is because I have seen stuff that people say is woke or people say is this and that, and I'll watch it and I'll be like, no, this is just bad because it fucking sucks. Like the whole
Suicide Squad killed the Justice League.
Yeah, that game is actually the perfect example.
Yeah,
there was not like overt woke shit in that game that made it so terrible. That game is just fucking bad. Like that game is just bad for very measurable reasons, and that's a little bit of a less interesting message than this game is bad because there is a organization that is what did they say recently, that they're they're blackmailing people for money because they're blackmailing companies for money.
It's not that they're blackmailing. If you might be talking about something I don't know about, but what my understanding is that the company BlackRock offers publishers huge swaths of money if they meet metrics for DEI.
No. I was talking about the thing with Black Myth Wukong where Sweet Baby, there was some random post on Chinese social media that people found and said it was the creator of the game, and it wasn't. But I think most of it got debunked at this point. But they were saying that the Sweet Baby Inc. creators basically blackmailed them and said, you have to pay us $7 million to work on your game, or we're going to get the journalists to take down your project and say that it's racist or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that.
It was some bullshit like that. But anyways, like that's a way more tantalizing story than the game's just bad because they made a bad game. You know, that's not as interesting, but it's the truth, you know.
Everybody benefits from the woke war except the consumer.
That's true. Yeah, this I don't know. I think the most annoying thing about it to me isn't that I disagree with either side or their politics or whatever. I'm a tried and true fence sitter, but it's not about that. It's that it becomes so difficult to have a conversation about the actual
my problem with it.
Quality of something, and it's so hard to find people actually talking about the quality of something rather than the politics around it. And that is effectively doing what you say you didn't want in the first place, which is getting politics involved. And that's annoying to me. That's like, well, I don't even know. I can't even tell if people think this is good or not because everybody's so wrapped up in this bullshit. I'm kind of surprised nobody's screaming woke over Mrs. Freeze, but maybe it's just because it's dead. Yeah, that's just because nobody cares. I think I checked the player count today. It's like 400 people. That game is. I'm shocked. I would have to assume that all that stuff had just mostly been done, and they're just releasing whatever they had.
I think they're doing another third season.
I think so, but they said something about like they wouldn't be updating very much on content and stuff like that in the future. But yeah, I don't know. It's on life support right now, I would assume.
Jeez.
God of War has woke elements. It's a great game. Like I would assume you're talking about the 2016 version. Yeah, I mean, I guess
he might mean Ragnarok.
Maybe Ragnarok. I mean, if you're talking about Ragnarok, you're talking to the wrong guy because I think I'm Ragnarok's biggest hater. But I would agree with you about like 2016. Yeah, I mean, like there's all sorts of things that are. It's a Metal Gear Solid 3, perfect example. You know, we've talked about this before.
It's so fucking rough for me because when I was younger, I wanted way more story in my games. I wanted story-centric games. I loved games like Uncharted, and I liked Heavy Rain. I'm not saying it's a great game, but I really liked it. Detroit Become Human. I loved games that had heavy stories.
Yeah.
But now Sony is releasing movie games, and I don't like them.
Yeah.
And I feel bad because back then I was on the side of, yeah, dude, I want more cool immersive story elements. I like when you have to like maneuver through crawl spaces and people are talking. I was like, this is neat. This is immersive. This is story. But now when I play it, I'm like, oh, if I had known this was at the end of the road, I would have.
Yeah. I've
I wouldn't
definitely
have spoken.
I've definitely cooled on them. And I agree with you when that era was around, like Heavy Rain and stuff, I was like, yeah, let's go. This needs to be games. But I've definitely cooled on them. But I do want more story games. I just want them to be well written,
Better written,
and well
yeah.
made. The bar is so much, and this is one of the biggest problems with gaming right now. One of the actual biggest problems with gaming. You asked me on a previous episode, like we were talking about woke stuff, and I said this isn't the biggest problem in gaming. You asked me what I actually thought was. I think this is one of the biggest problems, is that games need to be held to a higher standard for writing and story. And they are not, because the medium is newer. If you watch one of the best movies made in whatever year, right? And you play the best game made that year, which is probably going to be like fucking The Last of Us or something. The writing isn't even on the same level. Like it's so much worse. And this is, in my opinion, it's just because games, I mean, I could be wrong, but in my opinion, it's just because games are not as held to that high of a standard because the industry hasn't been around for that long. And
Can you hold them to a higher standard if whenever you criticize them to attempt to hold them to a higher standard, someone says, well, if you don't like it, don't play it. This is good.
again, you're being disingenuous.
I don't think that one's disingenuous. I think
That's a
one's
hypothetical
sincere.
situation, but if you're talking about before, that I told you already, the context was removed.
If you say I don't like this game because it could be better, and someone says to you, I like it, I think it's good, this is a 10 out of 10 game, it got reviewed this 10 out of 10 by IGN or whatever. If you don't like it, don't play it.
I'm gonna say, yeah,
Don't hold it to a higher standard.
I'm not going to play it because I don't like it.
Don't
but I'm
criticize
allowed to
it. If you don't like it,
complain
don't play it.
I mean, that's just you're being disingenuous.
I don't think so. I think that is
You
a
are.
fine comparison.
That's not a fine comparison because
I feel the same
also,
way.
they
When
didn't
I
they didn't
saw
say
the
don't
Acolyte,
criticize it.
any criticism I see of the Acolyte, I'm fine with it because I think that Star Wars could be a lot better. We've
Mhm.
seen that it can be better, and I want to see it held to a higher standard. So when I see someone say, "Look, this is fine. If you don't like it, don't fucking watch it." I'm like, "Okay, but what do I do if I want the Acolyte to be held to a higher standard so we can get back to The Mandalorian season 2 or when everybody was unanimously liking it? How do you hold it to a higher standard without being told if you don't like it, don't watch it? This is good."
I think we did talk about this already, and I think railroading my point back to that doesn't engage with the point that I was trying to make at all. So I just made this whole point, and then you just basically railroaded it back to the thing we already talked about.
I thought it was more tying it back around, but
No, because you didn't engage with what I was talking about. I was saying that like I think that's a huge problem with gaming right now. Do you agree or do you disagree?
well, that's me trying to engage though. I mean, I'm not trying to be difficult, but I agree with you.
Okay.
I agree with you 100%. That is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
problem. I want to hold it to a higher standard. But in my mind, whenever you're talking about holding story games to a higher standard, the first thing my brain heard was someone telling me, well, if you don't like it, don't play it. That's what I heard in my brain.
I don't have that opinion because I don't see that much. Like I don't have people telling me if you don't like it, don't play it that much if I complain about shit. So
But earlier you said that was part of the problem. You said you didn't understand why people did that to shows and not games.
did what to shows and not games?
Criticize them the way that they do.
Criticize
Unless I'm
shows
misremembering.
but not games.
Yeah, you said that they didn't treat games. No, I'm thinking of something else. I think you were talking about we don't treat game critics the same way that we did. That's my fault. I'm railroading.
Yeah, I think that was a different.
I got that wrong.
Maybe
Okay,
a different
but-
episode entirely. I think.
No, that was
Dementia
it.
Evan.
Yeah, I'm gonna run for president before you know it.
There you go. No, but I do think that's. I understand what you're saying about the thing. It's a hard point to defend, but I think that I was mainly defending it because in the context of what they were saying, they were talking about the average person. And I'm assuming the average person is a guy that buys a game and says, "Oh, I don't like this," and then he stops playing it, right? That's the average person.
Yeah.
Like if I'm saying that is good advice to give the average person. Don't waste your time on shit that you don't like, right? And this should be, you should agree with this because you are very about people saving their time. If a guy has to go work a job, save his time. You know, don't waste your time on shit you don't like. That's advice for the average person, not advice for somebody that's criticizing something because they don't like it.
So when you say these games should be held to a higher standard, you don't mean the consumer should be responsible for that. You mean these store games should be held to a higher standard by reviewers and critics. Is what
If
you're
you
saying.
don't like it, don't play it is the same thing as vote with your wallet. It's the same thing.
That's fair. I think that's a genuine way to respond to that.
I don't know why when we word it slightly differently, it's suddenly not a good thing to say. I think it does get away it does let people get away with not criticizing something genuinely and technically, but I think it's ultimately the same when you're talking about the average consumer.
I think it gets hard. I think it gets messy and it gets hard whenever, because you really don't see that with first entries. I think it gets hard when it's sequels and franchises, because if someone played God of War 2016 and they fucking loved God of War 1 through 3, they just paid for this game. They're frustrated and they're saying, "Fuck, this sucks. I wanted more of what I got God of War." And then someone says, "Well, if you don't like this, don't play it." They say no because I wanted more of that, and I'm worried if I don't speak out, this is going to get away from me, and the next God of War in the series is going to be more like 2016, and it's not going to be like what I wanted, and that sucks for me as a consumer, because I feel like, yeah, that's true. But you're saying that they shouldn't engage in dialogue unless
I don't think
with
that's
someone who
I don't think it's a blanket statement. I was defending one specific use of one person using it in a situation with extra context. I don't think that does not mean that I think everybody should use it all the time and it applies to everybody.
Right. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to make it sound like you're making blanket statements.
You're making me defend the fucking history of the entire use of the phrase. Just for that one thing.
I'm just trying. I was referring to the specific scenario in which negativity is a very real thing. And if you play something and you didn't like it and you don't want, and you want to talk about it, you want to criticize it, I'm guessing the advice for someone like that would be find other people who didn't like it. Don't go find people who did like it and try to ruin their day.
For
Does
sure.
that seem fair?
I mean, I think that's a generally good way to go about things.
Yeah.
I mean, you can if you want. I don't really give a shit. Be an asshole, but people are allowed to be assholes. It's kind of sometimes it's funny to be an asshole, but it's not.
I mean,
very often.
in context of because when someone says if you don't like it, don't play it, what they typically that phrase is a retort to someone who is criticizing it, because it's and it normally comes from someone who liked it.
Yeah, it's
kind of my experience.
It's kind of the same thing as like that comic where the guy's yelling about something and then the people are in a group talking about it and he's like fuck off or whatever. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing as that. I get what you're saying. It's kind of cringe. I think I'm thinking about it differently than people are actually using it, and people are actually going to use it in a really dumb, cringe way. So I probably don't agree with it like 90% of the time. But I don't know. I think writing in games needs to evolve, I think is probably the best way to put it. We need and I think it's going to have to happen over time, because the gaming industry is young, like film has had literature even has had way more time than games has to evolve. And I think that for it to get better, it's just going to have to slowly churn away, and we're going to have a lot of really shitty narrative games that everybody thinks is amazing because it's a video game.
But I feel like we've gotten games in the past that had genuinely good narratives, though, and none of that needed to happen because people just spent money on a writer.
Yeah, I think so, but I think I think games are written for differently than like films are, but they're presented very similar. Or TV would be a better example because it's probably about a similar length in cutscenes. They're written for differently, but they're presented like a television show. And
So do you go ahead?
it's not good. You know what I mean? Like it's trying to replicate another medium, but it's not the same medium. It's a different medium. And I feel like we understood that a lot more in the early days. People understood that this was a different medium. And now I feel like they're just trying to make a television show that's a video game. That's probably the change that you're talking about, I would say, in my opinion.
I mean, Kojima's always been doing that. He's always been trying to make movie
Oppenheimer
games.
of games, dude.
Yeah.
He created this thing, and it effectively, obviously. I'm defending this point now because I'm going to say it I think I'm probably going to say it it's going to be a big part of the Phantom Pain video. Like that game isn't written like a TV show. You know what I mean?
Which game? Phantom Pain?
Really, any of them. You know what I mean? They're not written like TV shows. They're
not at all.
written like video games.
Yeah.
And that works to their thing. You wouldn't watch an entire episode of a codec call.
I think Death Stranding is written like a TV show. In fact, after I played it, I told people you could watch the cutscene movie like a Netflix series.
You could, but you wouldn't get the. I feel like a lot of that game is the connection aspect.
Yeah, that might be true. But I do think that one kind of is written like a TV show, though. I think it's episodic.
A little bit more
so than any of his other games.
Yeah, but it's not as much as like The Last of Us or something.
Yeah, those are trying to be like. Yeah, those are definitely trying to be series.
They're trying to be series, and then they become HBO shows, and then they just do it again twice with the same guy heading the production.
Yeah, the same. Yeah, and then they do well. They do fucking well.
Yeah, that show's so bad, man. I can't even explain to you how bad that show is. I feel like the AAA market is still making the same games from 2010. Yeah, it's in a weird rut right now, especially when you're talking about Sony. Sony is like the king of this shit.
What do you think needs to happen for these? Like, what would obviously this is a hypothetical. We're just two dude bros who talk about video games on the internet.
Yeah.
But if someone were to ask you, what could Sony do to implement? What basic changes could they implement that would result in a good story-based video game coming out?
I think, okay, so if I want to give you the answer that I think you're actually asking for, I'll give you that answer. I'll give you both answers, but I think probably the most realistic thing is the video game market needs to crash. Which is what's going to happen. I think it's going to solve a lot of issues. It's going to get better before it gets worse, kind of thing.
You mean worse before it gets better?
Yeah. Sorry, my bad. But I think a genuine, like, actual advice, which I don't think they'll do, is stop being afraid of being a video game. Be a video game and be proud of it, and stop trying to be a TV show. So don't be afraid of being a game and playing like a game and having gameplay. Stop trying to hide your gameplay in other shit, and
I think
just make a game. Stop making TV shows.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right about that, because about the video game market needing to crash, because the fact of the matter is that what they're doing is working really, really well. The Horizon games are apparently doing very well. The Last of Us did well enough to get a TV show that fucking, apparently also did very well. I mean, it had its culture warrior haters, but
it's like
critically that show.
It's like the biggest HBO show that they've had since Game of Thrones.
Critically, that show did very well. So the fact of the matter is, if you told that to Sony right now, they would laugh and be like, "This guy's an idiot. This is working really well." We hope that we get another game that whatever The Last of Us is, we hope we get another one exactly like that, and then we can make another HBO show like it.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I mean financially, we're dying.
yeah,
dude.
well,
Like,
that's all Sony. That's all Sony cares about.
Yeah, as far as PlayStation goes, like the people that want what we want are dying. We're getting older and becoming less of a market with buying power, and I mean they're just not going to cater to us anymore, and that's fine.
And
I mean,
and I hate to tie it back to that same fucking phrase again, but you're right. We are becoming a market that has our buying power doesn't matter very much.
mhm.
So to someone who thinks something deserves to be criticized and recognizes that not buying it isn't going to affect it, they might resort to trying to criticize it.
That's true. And don't don't complain. Just stop watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if somebody says just stop watching it, they're like, but if I keep doing that, I'm not going to have anything I can watch instead.
Yeah, that's true. I think there will. I don't agree with that point because I think there's always something you can watch.
Yeah,
instead.
I'm not saying that I think that, but I'm saying that I can empathize with that being a thought that pops into someone's head when they're in that situation, when they're in that emotional state. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that I think that TV is going to be on the come down, and I think that indie self-produced content is going to be on the come up. And
yeah,
I think that all these streaming services are going to kill themselves via the way cable did, and independent free or cheap media with independent creators are going to completely outshine them. The same thing with the indie market. But I'm saying I can empathize that someone would get afraid and think I'm going to lose everything I like unless I start speaking up.
yeah, that's true. I can see people thinking that or feeling that way, and that's a valid way to feel. I think what made Metal Gear Last of Us, what do you think sparked a bigger focus and narrative for mainstream projects? Honestly, probably Last of Us sparked a bigger thing, but my point with Metal Gear was that I think Kojima was one of the first really big examples of games that are actually trying to fuse the two genres. And not to spoil my entire point or anything, but you can find interviews with Kojima where he says, I'm not trying to make video games that are movies. I'm trying to fuse the two genres. And he says that right from his mouth. That's what he was trying to do. And I feel like today's...
Yeah, I remember him saying that.
Yeah, today's stuff is trying to make video games that are just movies or TV shows. And that was never what Kojima was trying to do. We're buying games to buy games, not to buy a TV show or movie. I think that what made MGS special was it felt cinematic, but was still a game. Yeah, it was just applying cinematic techniques to video games to make them look more professional. That was what Kojima liked so much, and just taking little things from movies that he liked. You know, like he really likes The Great Escape. So there's a whole fucking
It's a great movie.
It is a great movie, but there's a whole fucking 3-minute thing in Metal Gear Solid 3 where Zero goes, I have to change my code name because I named it after this one tunnel in The Great Escape that they used to escape.
That exact
it was the wrong one. And then at the end of the whole thing, Snake goes, so which was the right one? And he goes, you know what? I'm just going to go back to Zero anyways. It's just going to be Zero. And it's like, it didn't matter at all. Like, he just loves saying like, oh, I like this movie a lot in his games. It's not like he's recreating the entire movie in his game or anything, you know?
That dialogue was critical though. It helped humanize Zero's character a lot, I think.
That's true. Yeah. It makes him feel like less of especially after 2, when the person in command could not be trusted whatsoever, and so you no longer have this trust of the main voice that's on the other side of the codec. You kind of need to get that back a little bit. By the way, Kojima actually wanted to kill Metal Gear Solid for a long time. Konami getting rid of him basically just resulted in making the stuff he actually wanted to make. He didn't want to kill it. He wanted to
just didn't want to be
it
involved.
on. Yeah, he was trying to make a team that was robust enough that could make Metal Gear Solid on their own and teach them how to make it on their own. Sorry, I'm not doing coke. I have like a pimple inside my nose. I always have nose stuff going on. he he wanted to pass it on, but he always kept getting pulled back. It almost happened with 3. They started making Metal Gear Solid 3 without him, and it just didn't work, so he had to come back.
I see we have a question about FromSoft games. We still haven't talked about that when we said we were going to.
Oh,
the Elden Ring
yeah,
situation.
fuck. Maybe we should probably save that for next week, because we said
Are we
were
gonna
gonna,
save it for next week?
Yeah, because we said we were gonna run short today, and we're at we're almost at 2 hours.
We can, but I don't. We probably won't bring it up next week.
I'll leave it on my notes. If there's nothing
right.
else, then if there's nothing else next week, then we can come back to it. Because I think
It's fine.
the thing is too, it's not as much interesting to talk about anymore, because she kind of explained. She made a video and explained herself, and she makes sense. There was context to that clip.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
I think writing 4 video game stories is something Yuji Horii figured out pretty early on with the Dragon Quest series. 3, 4, and 5 all feature narrative arcs that develop alongside their mechanics. Are you familiar with Dragon Quest at all? I'm not really.
I know Akira Toriyama had some input
Yeah.
on it in some form or fashion, but I've never played one. It's one of those series that I've always kind of in the back of my mind thought maybe someday, and that someday has not arrived.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, that's times like that when I empathize with people that have never played a Final Fantasy game and they don't want to, and it's yeah, I get it, because I don't. There's too much to get into with Dragon Quest, and
Yeah.
it's very daunting. And I played the most recent one actually, a little bit. That one was actually pretty good. I thought it was decent, but yeah, I just. That's when I'm okay, I get the never wanting to get into Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, we were gonna cut it short today. I have some stuff to go do. Unfortunately, we're gonna do another solo episode next week, and then we have a whole slew of new guests.
That's right.
Coming up that we're really excited about. So, but we are going to have a little bit of a shorter episode today. So, Evan, why don't you give a quick plug and tell everybody what you are doing?
So tonight, actually,
Oh.
I released my retrospective of Perfect Dark, the original N64 title.
It's
I'm
already
moving
out?
my release dates. Yeah, I'm moving my release days to Friday now
Okay.
to test that out. So if anybody who still wants to hear my voice and hear me talk about Perfect Dark for an hour, head on over to my channel, Evan Prince, and listen to me talk about the N64 classic that is Perfect Dark.
Dude, that
and then
is
later on.
that is a banger thumbnail.
Oh yeah, which one? There's 3. Which one is it?
The red one?
Oh yeah, that's actual art that was the Japanese marketing art for
That
the
is so good.
Super
I'm gonna
cool.
pull it
Yeah.
up on stream real quick so people can see
Yeah,
it.
I did 3, but that one that was the one I liked the most. I hope that one does the best because it's from the Japanese marketing art for the
It's
game.
the one that they're showing me, so it's probably getting pushed.
Yeah.
But this thumbnail. Yeah, so go check out Evan's video.
Yeah, definitely do that. And then later this month, I'm hoping to have a video out on every Star Wars game for the Game Boy Advance, and then a retrospective on Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2.
Hell yeah. Awesome.
Do you have any plugs?
I not really. I'm working on MGS3 right now. Doing a lot with it.
Thanks, I made the thumbnail. I appreciate that.
Hell yeah. I'm doing a lot with that, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about. So I'm digging in on that. But I would look out for maybe next weekend. There might be a worse Steam Games video out to quench your thirst in between now and then. Yeah, just keep an eye out for those 2 videos. Next week, join us again, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, TGG Plus, Friday. Solo episode talking about all the coolest shit and arguing about woke politics and being.
We got to stop doing that. It's really.
We really do. Maybe we should do 10 episodes no woke. That's our agreement
that's
right now.
actually a really good idea.
Or we have to do
let's just-
something. No political shit.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Because I'm really sick of hearing the word woke.
Yeah, dude. It's just I see it everywhere, man. That's
Yeah,
all anybody's talking about in games right now. It sucks.
There's a lot of people who care a lot more about it, that are a lot more passionate about it, they got that into they got that covered.
That's true. That's true.
Let's
Leave it to
figure out a
them.
way to approach these angles.
Leave it to the
without-
bugs.
Yeah,
Leave it to the
world.
bugs. We're not bugs. We're not bugs.
Yeah.
Talk more about Skate 4 and Guild Wars 2. What's up, Bite Size? All right, we will see you next Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, starting our 10 episode no woke streak.
Yeah, let's do it.